I want to be a father one day, and I pray that when that time arrives, God guides me in the direction of being the best father that I can be. But I don't know what that looks like because I didn't grow up in the same household as my dad. Now that I've entered into my manhood, I do feel that though separate, there is a very strong correlation between being a good man and a good father. Things that come to mind of being a good man is being a protector, being a provider, and being a role model for your family. But is that enough? My name is Marcel, and today I want to begin a conversation of my journey into manhood. Let's talk about it. Once again, my name is Marcel, and I want to thank you all for tuning into my video today. If you have not done so already, please make sure to check out part 1, which is my perspective of fatherhood and my concerns and my wantingness, if that is a word, to become a father. Today, however, I did not want to do a part 2 video on fatherhood because respectfully, I don't know what it takes to be a father, but what I do want to do today is focus on my journey into manhood, as I feel again that there is a correlation between being a good man and a good father. But once again, I don't know what it is to be a father, and in respect to all dads out there, I don't want to make a part 2 on fatherhood because I really don't know what that looks like from a personal perspective. So some people say that life and your trust in God will allow you to conquer the task of being the greatest father that you can be. So until that day, I'm going to save that conversation. But my part 2 is going to focus on my journey into manhood. And my journey into manhood is going to be outlined with what I've coined and phrased as the PPR model: the protector, the provider, being a role model for your family. Because I believe these 3 things right here, if conquered, not 100% perfectly, can guide me and set the proper steps into becoming not only the greatest man I can be, the greatest husband for my wife Jamila, but ultimately one day when we decide to have kids and we're blessed with kids, to be the greatest father who I can be. So today I want to focus solely on my manhood journey. And as a disclaimer, I am in no means trying to, one, indicate that what I'm saying is things that I'm perfectly conquering, right? No one is perfect. And I want to make that very, very clear. I'm not trying to tell you all that I'm perfect in this video. This is just what I'm learning through my experience is during my life right now. Because after all, we are all a work in progress. In this PPR model, protector, provider, and role model, I want to begin with being a protector. I feel like it's stereotypically known that men, ultimately the head of the household, is supposed to be the protector, the provider, and my arm again being a role model. But when I focus on being a protector, what exactly does that look like? See, when I was younger, when I hear protect, I think be ready to fight at any moment, in the event that a physical altercation is needed to protect your wife, girlfriend, fiance, family. But now that I've gotten older, I've now realized and I understand that being a protector is not just about being able to fight when it's time to protect your family, but can you also emotionally protect your family? Through my life experiences, I've learned that there were certain instances where I could have been doing better in that area. Because I feel like men, we can be out of touch with our emotional side as well as with our partners through several conversations with my wife Jamila, that sometimes I might not be doing the best job acknowledging her feelings at any given moment. And I've learned through experience that I can do better in this area, and I have been improving in this area. And not only about your partner's feelings, but are you emotionally projecting your feelings in a well way? Because sometimes when men express their feelings, it's either 1, we don't do it, 2, we can do it effectively, or 3, our feelings can be projected and expressed with anger. A lot of people don't receive information well when it's presented in anger. And that's an area of my life that I've had to work on. I know a lot of times I come on here, I'm like real chill, calm, and collected. But when I get to that point where I'm really, really frustrated and angry, or just frustrated, I can be angry. And that's something in my life that I'm trying to work on. And I don't want to tie this back into the fatherhood video. I don't want to have children and they see me angry, where they're afraid of me. I don't want that to be the case. Where, oh, dad is getting, upset, let's get away before he explodes. This is something that I've been working on, to where I don't keep everything bottled up. Because see, I remember that 3 things I said, is either we don't express it, you express it well, or you express it through anger. Growing up, I bottled it up to where it had no more room. And when that pressure just kept building, it just explodes. And I'm trying to find my way into that middle area, to where it's time and place, I can discuss it, but I want to make sure that emotionally I'm protecting myself as well as my wife, or ultimately one day my family, when I am trying to emotionally protect. So my advice for that I've learned through marriage counseling before Jamila and I got married, is for both partners, but focusing for me as the man, is I want to make sure that I don't use confrontational words. I want to make sure that I also, and this goes way beyond the realm of just a marriage, right? This is just in business, this is out in public. Don't use confrontational words when you want to discuss your displeasure or frustration or something. And don't use, especially in a relationship, those definite, those finite words. Things like, you always do this, you never do this. Because I guarantee you, out of 100, at least 1 or 2 of those times, it did not happen. And what happens is, when you use words like always or never, it offends the other person, because, well, no, because I can recall when I did do this, or I can recall a time that I did not do that and I did it differently. So now they're on the defense. And when you got 2 people on the defense, progress is not going to be made, and that's what causes arguments. So as a man, as I continue into my manhood journey, I want to make sure that for my wife, my personal life, I want to make sure that I'm protecting both of us emotionally. But most importantly, I feel like this is honestly the most underrated aspect of being a protector, is, are you a protector of peace? Are you maintaining or promoting positive or peace within the household? Because as the head of the household, I want to be the example of who I want my family to look like, be looked as outside from the world's perspective. And even with Jamila, is I want to be the example of, hey, you know what, if we get into conflict, this is how I want us to gauge and guide our conversations. Because it's like, if I'm being explosive, ultimately that could cause Jamila to be explosive. But if I can be calm, that might encourage Jamila to be calm. Or whatever your personal relationship or life setting is, or even outside of the household, right? Journey into manhood is not just about family. That's just what I'm focusing on, because all of this is tying back into my part 1 fatherhood video. But in the world, a man who can keep his calm when things around him are going around and just in chaos. You gotta be able to keep your mind, because if you're able to, I promise you, you're gonna be very progressive in whatever you're trying to get done. So what I would say to close out this section right here, being a protector of peace, can you communicate effectively to where you're not angry, right? Anger is okay, but it's how do you express your anger? Because we're naturally gonna feel anger, we're human, but can you express it effectively? Can you be the calm to the storm? And can you emotionally take care of the well-being of others, including yourself? And as men, I want to recommend this. Protect your own peace, protect your own health, your own emotion, because if you're not right, everyone around you is not going to be right, especially if they depend on you. And you have to be able to take care of yourself first and foremost. Forget a family, forget the wife, take care of yourself, because stress is a killer. Don't stress yourself out. Find peace. That could be through counseling. That could be through finding someone who's reliable and who you need to speak with. Those are the things that you could probably do to help you in that area, if that's an area that you struggle in. Next up in this PPR model is being the provider. Now, of course, provider, we can automatically jump to financially being a provider, and what's understood don't need to be explained. We understand financially being able to provide, but I do want to throw a disclaimer in here because I feel like there are times that I struggle with that, because it's like, if Marcel is not paying 100% of the bills, I feel like I'm failing at being a financial provider. And I want to tell you all, if you have that same insecurity that I struggle with at times, don't beat yourself up, right? We don't live in a time anymore where houses are like $12,000 and the bank can go out and just make money and bring it back home and everybody gets to eat on top of that, right? We live in a world where the economy is highly inflated. Price of things, the price of living is going up, and pay increase is either not happening or it's increasing at a very small marginal amount. I thought about this a little while ago. It's like, what if there's a father who's providing for his house? He works 3 jobs. And let's say that with those 3 jobs, he's still barely able to make ends meet. Is he a failure at being a provider? Definitely not. I feel like as men, we need to accept that we need to try to be the best man we can be, right? Be the best man that you can be. Do all that you can. Because in doing all that you can, I feel that that defines you as a man. Are you doing the most with what you have made available? Now, if you're not doing the most and you're not trying your best, and sometimes doing more than what your best can offer, then there's a conversation that can be had. But be the best who you can be. And I want to start there with the financial route. And as earlier, when it comes to being the provider, I want to mention about, the emotional support. It's not just about money, right? But can you emotionally provide for your family? Because I feel like a lot of times there are men who are out of touch with their own feelings to where they can't even accept other people's feelings or give them positive feedback or any type of feedback. So for example, in my household, if Jamila comes to me and she talks to me about something that's bothering her, can I provide an emotional outlet for her? It's not just all about the money. Can I be that shoulder to lean on? Can I provide that shoulder for Jamila to lean on, or anybody who else that might need you? So it's just that, again, just think about that aspect. It's not just about financial, but can you be physically and emotionally present as well as the man of your household? And again, as a disclaimer, I'm not perfect in this area. I am not perfect in this area, but these are, again, areas that I'm trying to improve upon. And I'm trying to be transparent here, right? I don't know everything for sure, but I'm just trying to tell you all that these are the areas that I'm trying to improve upon. And maybe you might need to as well. All right, here we go. And for the last step in my PPR model, as I take my journey into my manhood, I want to focus on the role model. And I have a list here in front of me, and I'm gonna read off the list. So you're gonna see my eyes come off the camera for a quick second. It's just because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So as a role model, there's a saying that will drive home my last point. And the saying is, to be a great leader, you must be able to follow. But for me, it's who do I follow as the example? And that's my biggest struggle. Going into my manhood, it's a struggle for me because I don't have that example to follow, right? As a man, there's no diss on my dad, there's no diss on my mom. But growing up, I didn't have that in the household. I don't know any of my grandfathers or any of my great-grandfathers. I have no male figures in my family that I can look at and say, hey, how do you figure this out? What do you do? I have no one to talk to. So I'm literally figuring it out as life progresses. And there are certain things that I want to do better in. So when I have children or a child, whatever God decides to bless us with, I don't continue those generational curses of not knowing how to do said items. And I want to read to you what I have on my list. As a father, in the future, I want my children to be patient. I want them to be kind. I want them to be empathetic. I want them to be trustworthy. I want them to be loyal. I want them to be loving. I want them to be brave. And most importantly, things that I struggled with growing up as a kid and probably just now conquering this. I want my children to be confident. And all of those things I listed, I want to have on display, again, not perfectly, but I want to have these qualities of being a man to be displayed to not only my wife, one day my children, because that's who I want them to be. I want them to have all of those items under their belt, being able to display it to the world every single day. But to solve that issue, just in case you're like me and you don't really have like that physical visual of a man of who they're supposed to be, how can you solve that? You can read books. There are books out in the world that could kind of help guide you with that. I'm not gonna pub any books because I don't want to pub anything that I haven't personally read, but there are people who I follow on Instagram that have released books. And once I read them, I can do maybe like a book review and I can advise or give advice to read these books. But read books. You can follow people on Instagram that show how to be a positive role model as a man, or how to do things as a man. Or even if you have someone who's not in your family or your immediate family, like maybe like a trusted uncle or older cousin, role model, a mentor that you can speak to, that can lead you in a positive direction into your own specific journey in manhood. Because there's no never ending in your manhood journey. It's always continuous. So even if you're in your 40s or 50s, you can still achieve these things, because life is an ever-going process, and you could always improve each and every single day. As long as God blesses you with another day on this planet, I advise this is what you do. To conclude everything, everyone, my coin PPR model is what I'm using to guide me into my manhood. I want to use this as I prepare for being not only the best man, but a husband as well, and lastly, one day, a great father. I'm going to continue trusting in God as I continue living my life in this, as I'm going to claim and put out to the world as a long life journey. And most importantly, I want to learn how to provide. I want to learn how to protect not only myself first and foremost, but allow God to lead me in the direction of how I could one day protect and provide and be a role model for my family. And as always, because I don't know everything, if you feel that you have a higher level of expertise, or you could fill in the blank in areas that might be voided or a blank for me or anyone else who's in the comments, this is a community. This is a community where I want people to leave my video better than when they came. Kind of like being a teacher, right? And I want us to have a healthy dialogue in the comment section. So if you have something to add to the conversation, please make sure that you do so respectfully. So once again, I want to thank y'all for watching. My name is Marcel. This is my installment 2 into my manhood journey. Again, part 1 was about my outlook on being a father. Part 2 is, hold on, pause, I don't know what it is to be a father, but I'm starting to learn what it takes to be a man. And those two one day are going to coincide, and I hope that it does so in a very effective and loving way. So once again, thank y'all for watching. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe if you're new, or if you've just been continuously watching and you just haven't hit that subscribe button. Please help your boy out, subscribe to me, and drop a comment down if you got something to add to the conversation. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you one day on part 3. Peace.